Hello, I'm Hal Lublin.
And I'm Mark Gagliardi.
Since the dawn of humanity, one issue has gone unsettled. With the fate of the world in the balance, we're here to settle, once and for all, best high school movie.
That's right. Don't worry, everyone. We got this.
Podcast should have a theme song. Podcast should not have a theme song. Yes, they should. No, they shouldn't. They sound good. Yeah, but people are just going to skip past it. You know what? You're right. We got this.
Best high school
Coming of
movie.
age. Sorry.
Best coming of age high school coming of age movie. Best high school movie. Jimmy always wanted to be a reporter, but when he went to South Carolina, he never expected to fall in love with his aunt. Meet Hal.
Oh, you had to meet everyone in the.
You always had to meet everyone in the trailers.
Oh, it's so true.
Hey, people of the world, meet Janet. No, you don't have to meet Janet. You know Janet. This is Janet Varney. This is our spectacular crossover episode of We Got This in the JV Club. Thanks for being here, Janet.
Oh my gosh, I am so happy to do this. It is one of those things where I suddenly thought, wait, we've never done this before. We've both been doing our podcast for quite some time now.
Yeah.
And somehow it's also a topic that seems like, and you've had some adjacent topics, but it seems like it should have been covered, and somehow it's just been waiting in the box, like a collector's item that you're never supposed to take out of the box, but we're going to take it out of the box and play with it today and ruin its value.
Yay! My skin's crawling, but I'm excited. This is what happens during Max Fun Drive, is the titans of the industry get together.
Yes, the titans of it. Yes.
Godzilla and Kong are not fighting here. They're holding hands and skipping through Tokyo, which
they're
is
podcasting.
A lot of, they're podcasting together.
Which one's Mothra? Me? Am I Mothra?
Mothra's the producer who just comes in once in a while. Hey guys, can we go to the MeUndies spot?
But before we get into this, I gotta say I miss you both so much, and
I miss you too.
When all's said and done, it would be fine if we just sat and looked at each other. I mean, I'm glad we're not going to just do that, but it's so great to see your faces, and I love you and I miss you, and I hope we get to be in person together soon.
Amen. Love you too. And you know what? It might not be great for the people of the world if we just sat here for an hour looking at each other's faces. So we should probably talk, but
begrudgingly, I
agree with you. Yeah.
Great.
And we'll get on an improv stage together again very soon.
I mean, I feel like that could be extremely imminent.
Yeah, that feels very imminent, and that makes me very happy.
Yeah.
I want to do something that's not visual, but I'm also looking at your background, which is lovely. During the past 2 years, Janet has really stepped up her Zoom game with a series of cloth backgrounds that put her in different, like a lot of people do green screen, but she has bought a bunch of different things.
I need the texture. I need to be able to reach back and touch it and ripple it whenever.
Like it's a vaudeville oleo.
Half of it looks like a wooded area with a rocky hill, but the other half, which is just Rocky Hill, to me looks like the Western Wall in Jerusalem. And I just want to fold up a prayer on a piece of paper and put it into the background.
I am accepting your prayers. Accepting your prayers.
Good.
Do not.
But you're not actually in Jerusalem, are you?
Yes, I am. I am actually in Jerusalem.
Thank you for doing it at such a, I'm assuming, weird hour of the day. Cloth Jerusalem.
Cloth Jerusalem is my current location. So if you could, I would love for you to write your prayer on a scrap of fabric instead.
Yeah. Ooh,
that would
get your swatch book.
Better.
Markers on linen. Here it comes.
And just giving a chance for anyone offended by that to go ahead and shut off the episode, and let's resume.
Great.
I've even gotten to my Viva Cloth Vegas stuff. It's really good.
That's going to bring them back. Somehow they'll know and they'll come back.
Yeah. They'll do the
next year in the Holy Land. Next year in denim.
Oh no.
But we're not here to talk about Cloth Jerusalem. We're here to talk about high school movies. And so I was thinking about this earlier, and I don't know what preparation y'all have done for this. Frequently we will go through and try to find objective answers, but I thought, for me anyway, in the spirit of this being a crossover episode.
Yes.
With Janet Varney. Janet Varney, you as a podcaster are great at getting the completely subjective out of people and
Mhm.
really digging into folks and finding their hearts and their opinions and their loves and hates and fears. And
Still
I love
their
that.
secrets and regrets.
Exactly.
As they get
Grow
off the
stronger.
podcast.
So yes, you're like so many villains from so many movies. So I made a list of High School Musicals that is simply
Gosh, you immediately
ones
went to
that I
musicals.
love.
Do you understand what you just said? This
I
is
said
so...
High School movies. I know. Oh
First
my
up,
God. You know, there's
Oliver
like at
Twist,
least there's 3
Hairspray.
musicals on my list. There are 3, but of High School
I don't.
movies.
Why
sorry.
don't you make me work for it a little bit? It doesn't have to go
Yeah.
straight Freudian that fast.
You have Mean
I just
Girls on your
assumed-
list, but it's not
Hold
the
on.
movie. It's the
Let
Broadway
me lay
show.
down on this couch.
Talk more about that.
Yeah. Do you want to process
I don't know
anything?
if you noticed, but you said musicals instead of movies. Talk more about
You know what? I did not notice that.
I find it so interesting that we brought up movies
Uh-huh.
and you immediately went to musicals. Do you want to
Ugh.
unpack that?
Let's unpack.
Yeah, let's unpack that. Do you guys have any high school musicals on your list?
No.
I mean, here's the thing. Grease
Mhm.
is definitely on my list, but it feels weird because we all know that those are fully grown adults.
Yeah. Wasn't
So-
Stockard Channing in her 30s when she was in that?
I mean, they are mature. So it sort of feels like a cheat. It feels like,
Mhm.
you know, I feel bashful about that. I feel like, well, yes, it's set in high school and ostensibly it is only about being in high school and it still somehow feels like it's not a movie about high school.
Yeah.
They're
It's a musical about adults pretending to be in high school.
That's right. That's
It was
right.
made in the 70s and those adults were in high school in the 50s.
Mhm.
Yes.
So that's good.
Yes. Luckily, Bugsy Malone is off the table because it does not take place in high
Oh.
school. But then you would have kids pretending to be adults, and that would just be those two side by side. Mm-mm.
Shooting marshmallows at each other.
Yeah,
That movie is profoundly weird.
It's so disturbing for so many reasons.
I know. Like, is it Jodie Foster that's
Yeah,
the
it's
kid in
Jodie
it trying to be
Foster.
all sultry?
Oh, it's so weird. If you listen,
And
do
then-
yourself a
You're talking about
creepy
Taxi
favor.
Driver, right?
No. Have you never seen Bugsy Malone?
You know what?
No,
I
but
was thinking of the movie
she was the
Bugsy with
go-to.
Warren Beatty.
Oh yeah. No, wait.
Oh.
Whoa. Wait, have you not seen Bugsy Malone?
No, should I?
Oh,
no,
it's-
Hal.
I already don't like it based on what you're saying.
You
but I'm
will
interested.
not like it. You will not, but you must see it.
It is
You know what?
so
You can
weird.
Google a couple of different things. The things that I remember most specifically, I mean, I feel like I remember the whole movie way too well, but, cause when you're a kid, you don't realize how weird it is. And I
Yeah.
did see it as a child. I remember like renting it from the video store and being like, this is how I'll be when I'm 5 years older playing a 45-year-old. But Jodie Foster plays in a long line of, you know, mature young ladies, like a showgirl named Tallulah. And she is very, very seductive. Very seductive. And she also, she does her own speaking voice, but they have adults singing all of the songs.
Oh.
So you'll have
Mhm.
Jodie Foster, you know, be like, yeah, so, why don't you come up and see me sometime? And then the song starts and she's like, my name is Tallulah, this is rule of thumb. And the song seems super forward. And then there's also, also in the club, there's like this, but this is the thing, Paul Williams does all the music. So it's actually great.
So it's great music. Yeah.
In like the most disturbing context. There's also a kid who works there who like sweeps up, but is like this great dancer and singer. And, he also, like, that is the biggest dichotomy between child voice and adult voice. It is startling
Yeah.
at best.
And also, like
So
the
check that out.
rest of the movie is just kids playing adults.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Mobsters.
and so it's, you know, it's mobsters. So
Shooting each
like,
other.
there's the little 12-year-old kid who's like, you tell him to get in my office right now. And they're all playing these huge caricatures. But then this guy that's sweeping up the club at the end of the
He's
day,
so
he busts out his
gentle
song.
and like real.
I know. It's like he's in an August Wilson play. Like, it's so,
Yes.
but it's a
Also,
kid
I don't know
doing
who's
it.
singing who's singing the song, but it is such a distinctive voice.
Yeah.
You know, it's an unforgettable voice. It's like, tomorrow never comes. And again, just does not seem like it would be coming from that child. Anyway, so
No.
listen,
And when they
most
shoot-
of the
when they
people were
shoot
in high
people,
school
they
when they
shoot-
shot that, so we're safe. But it's not.
Thank
When
God.
they shoot like cream pie, puff,
Marshmallows. Yeah.
marshmallow
Like,
stuff.
yeah.
What? This feels like a fever dream.
I'm really shocked that you haven't seen it. It
I can't,
seems like
yeah.
a movie you would have seen.
It does.
I'm sure
it really
that
does.
Ken is queuing up the trailer for as soon as we finish the recording. It's going to what our
definitely
screen what our screen is all
Meet Bugsy.
jumps to.
He's a gangster.
Scott Baio, by the way, Bugsy. Scott Baio.
I think I have heard of that. A sexualized child.
Yeah.
Jodie Foster. That was a weird trend. Also, there's a proud tradition in musicals of people with menial jobs who have world-class talent that nobody's discovered. And they just know how to do it all. There's no idea of I've been in training for this. It's
raw
just
talent.
Mom, I scraped the gum off the back of the bus seats, but I don't know if I'll ever be a big singer or dancer.
Someday I hope I will. And it's doing this huge Fosse dance number, the Isles of the Bluebird.
Yeah. But in movies like Grease, in plays like Grease, you got to work for it. You got to work to get that grease lightning going. You got to work to go to beauty school.
Yep.
You're not going to just be doing someone's hair out of nowhere. So that's at least more grounded in that regard. But again, adults. So to finally come back to your point, Gags, definitely had Grease on there. I'm trying to think if I have anything else that appears on what my sort of gut checklist would be. I don't think so, but I feel like
I have
real jerk.
I have at least one more
okay
musical to throw on there. No, High School Musical is great. It was a little bit after my time.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really though some of these are after my time, I guess. But the original Fame. You want to talk about working hard for something?
Yeah.
Not only is it a high school movie, but it is the specific high school I wanted to go to movie.
See, that's so fair. And I think I started categorizing, not even necessarily intentionally, movies that seemed like they were about more than high school and sort of shuffling them off just because there are so many great high school movies out there. And I remember thinking of Fame and going well, that's kind of about showbiz too. Sort of feeling I had an excuse to not include it, even though it's a great movie. And you're right. It is only about being in high school and the particular pressures of that type of high school.
But I do get that there are a lot of scenes outside the high school about show business.
Yeah.
And some pretty hard ones to watch.
Yeah.
Let me ask a question because there's such a wide variety of movies on the list that we have.
We have a list that's just top. This is a list of just sort of a lot of people mention these movies, kind of like you guys do sometimes. A lot of people bring up these types of movies when they're talking about really great high school setting, movies. But some of these I've never even seen. So
I feel like there's a theme to films, and there are certainly exceptions to the rule. But I feel like when we were children, and it may have been because we weren't in high school yet, high school movies, there was something aspirational about it. Just the idea of I will be in high school and it will somehow embody a portion of this. And then you reach high school and it's really not like that at all. You may pick up themes. I think the Breakfast Club has themes in it where we all fall into roles. But for me, a movie I remember when American Pie came out, it was 1999. I was almost out of college at the time, but there was something in it that captured the spirit of high school in that you have a group of friends and you're about to make this huge transition as you graduate. And you're all trying to either move on or hold on in some way. And the only constant that you have is each other. And I've had a group of friends since childhood that I stayed really close with. So I've always identified with not only that, but the sequel that explores it's really weird to say that it explores anything. It's remember when he gets a sock stuck to his, you can bleep that, Ken. But there is a theme of once you've gone away to college for a year and you try to come back, and this idea of nothing is ever what you expect it to be or what you want it to be. It is what it is, and you figure out how to deal with it. So you're the one who ultimately has to change as things change around you.
See, that's so great. And again, having done zero prep for this other than just sort of thinking on what movies I respond to, I'm starting to think that I'm mostly drawn to high school movies that I could never in a million years compare with my own high school experience. I think I was more I think I was more drawn to, for example, I like Better Off Dead. is just a movie I love so much. It is so absurd and bizarre and goofball that there's nothing about it that I'm like, oh, that was me, and I cannot relate more to my mom wearing what was the animal? An aardvark. I cannot relate more. When your mom puts on that aardvark for Christmas, like there's nothing about it, but it was. Whatever this high school is like, I want to go there because it's nothing like how I imagine high school to be or how it ended up being. So I think there's a lot of that for me in there. Even like I loved Some Kind of Wonderful when I was younger.
I don't know Some Kind of Wonderful.
It's more of a traditional, it's Howie Deutsch. So it's not John Hughes, I don't think.
Feels like
which is why, it's the only one that I thought I guess Ferris Bueller's, but anyway, I don't think that it is him, but it is very much that same Pretty in Pink kind of vibe where, richer, poorer, wrong side of the tracks, best friend. There's sort of a Ducky character played by Mary Stuart Masterson, although she's very cool. So it's one of, Leah Thompson is like the ungettable girl, Eric Stoltz, a lot of redheads showing up in this movie. But it's got a great soundtrack. So I remember feeling like, oh, I want to go to the high school that has that soundtrack.
Yeah.
Mark, I know you have musicals on there, but do you feel like you're more drawn to something that you feel reflects part of your high school experience or something that is some idealized, like, wouldn't it be amazing to be at the high school from 10 Things I Hate About You, which is basically it's just an adaptation of The Taming of the Shrew. But like,
I do love that movie though.
Yeah.
So much of that movie now is like, that movie in particular is one of those high school movies where you go through the lens of 2022. So much of what happens in that movie, like, oh, that is not okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's got that rom-com. It's got that, early 2000s rom-com problem of most of this could get you a restraining order.
Right.
At this point.
Whereas something that's sort of a contemporary of that, Clueless, totally holds up. Which is an adaptation of Emma. So you have these two different classics that get brought into a modern high school setting. And maybe because of the content, you have this like really strong female protagonist who's telling her side, her perspective. And people still love that movie. People love Clueless.
Oh, I love
Clueless. It's as popular now as it ever was.
It's brilliant. The script, Rolling with the Homies, like, everybody I know had the soundtrack, but you were saying something before, Hal, that I think is great. And for me, the thing that it depends, I guess, on what I'm looking for in the movie. Am I looking for something aspirational like Fame? Or am I looking for something real? Like you mentioned that the group of friends and the, going off. I love the idea of the point of view of the protagonist, or maybe all of the characters, being, we don't know what's next, but we know we're going to miss this. You know what I mean? That by the end of the movie, that's the thing. And I think there's a bunch on this specific list that you've got here. I think that Dazed and Confused, even though that does have some people in it that look like they're in their 30s, even a couple that probably were 18, just had done some hard living. But like, that and Dead Poets Society is another one of those. Like, we are a group of people bound together by one teacher who we really care about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's of course, then there's the aspirational ones like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So like everybody wants to be that kid and have that day.
Right.
I will throw out as one of my all-time new favorites, specifically because of their depiction of theater class and the hilariousness of it, is Lady Bird. I think Lady Bird is brilliant in its version of high school.
Yes, that's a very special movie where you feel like you've jumped inside that world. Like on my podcast when we do MASH, like what movie would you jump inside? And some movies you really feel like if you went there, you would have that, it would evoke the feeling you get the whole movie. That's a great example. It's a great one.
And feels real. It feels like you're watching, maybe that's just a Greta Gerwig thing, but it's such a good.
It's too specific not to be true.
Everything feels true. Everything feels true.
Yeah.
And it's the same with her version of Little Women. You watch it, you go, everything here feels, I identify and connect with every choice that you are making. And it pulls me in and that's what, I have no experiences similar to Little Women, but I've been in high school. I've been in high school shows. I know those people or versions of those people.
Yeah.
So that's something that I really enjoy. Even like Superbad.
You feel like that feels real?
Yeah.
It's very real. It's real.
It does.
Like
There are
Friday
elements
night
of it
for
that
me.
feel real.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's
That
definitely.
I think
idea
the
of-
plots, yeah.
It's again, most high school movies, very few of them feel like slices of life. A lot of them are, it's senior year. We're not going to be in high school anymore. What is it like? So you have something like Superbad and a movie like Booksmart, which both deal with similar themes. Like it's almost over.
Yeah.
What is our relationship going to be?
Mhm.
How does that evolve?
God,
as
this
we
is
move forward?
fascinating because I did not have nostalgia about high school when it was happening.
Right.
I mean, I definitely could not wait to be done with high school. I didn't even go to my own graduation. Like
Really?
Really?
I mean, I graduated like second in my class, and I didn't walk at like the official graduation because my dad and I were already like on a road trip somewhere.
Yeah.
And he was a teacher at that school, so really both looked like a couple of assholes. Like, screw you, Rincon, UHS, we're gone.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I think even my friendships in high school, I knew I was going to go to college with a couple of my best friends. And then a few of my other friends, I felt like so confident that, we were going to stay friends. I also had so many friends who weren't at my school. I already wasn't at school with them. Right. So there was just sort of this indeterminate, like, well, I guess if we were friends before not going to the same high school, we'll be friends after college. So it was all, and for me, I was also going to a church that I had to go to. All due respect, like there are people I love there, but that was very much a part of like, oh, I'm done with this now. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have the nostalgia until a few years later. And then I was the person that looked back and was like, oh, high school. Like there was some real specific stuff about that, but I don't think I had that at the time. So movies where everyone's sort of aware of that in the moment, I find very impressive because I was just too stupid to even connect with that. I was just like, yeah, we're graduating. We're out of here. Our senior prom theme was Dust in the Wind. Like no one was feeling sentimental
it was Arizona.
about it. It was Arizona.
And there was always dust in the wind.
Accurate. It feels real, you might say. Just like Lady Bird. It feels true and real because we were all just dust in the wind.
Well, I wonder if part of that is that you knew that you were going to have two of your best friends going to college with you. Like for me, I knew that I was leaving Knoxville. I was not going to be going to school with anybody that I had grown up with.
Yeah,
I was never
different.
I never going to live in the same city as all of my friends.
Yeah.
So I think that's a part of that. I want to say something else about Superbad and Booksmart, which I do think of as like sister movies.
Absolutely.
Is that one thing that I love about both of them is there's some high school movie. Look, Ferris Bueller's Day Off and most of the John Hughes movies, nobody really talks like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Breakfast Club, sure, to an extent, but my friends and I were raunchy, and Superbad and Booksmart are raunchy. You don't want to think that people under 18 are saying the horrific things that they're not allowed to hear in a movie theater. Yeah. But everybody is.
Do you feel like the grandfather, grandmother movie of that is something like Porky's, which I don't think I've ever seen, but I feel like I have looked at the cover of that movie or the poster for that movie so many times. Like I feel like I know it's like a woman's arm and a woman's leg and like a hole and she's in a shower.
In a shower, yeah.
And then
even the
eyeball,
poster for that movie is problematic.
And also a bunch of older people playing teenagers, at least the guys.
Is it? I remember, I really don't think I've ever seen it. I think I just know that Kim Cattrall was in it, but I don't think I've ever seen it.
It's just a time where we were meant to believe that every high school had someone who looked like the Great Ragu. Like there was just a guy in the class who already had chest hair and a mortgage, like all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just,
you just reminded me of Real Genius too, which I guess is also, is that a college? I guess it's college. Okay.
Is that college? But boy, is Val Kilmer great at that movie.
Who are too young to be in college, being in college because they're geniuses. So I suddenly was like, wait, is that a very special high school? No, it's college. You're right.
We'll save that for the college episode when has to duke it out with Revenge of the Nerds.
That's right.
Oh, watch out. What about Mean Girls? That's a great movie.
I think Mean Girls is a wonderful movie.
Way up there. It is so good.
Yeah.
To feel like I could relate to it and feel like, it's more stylized in terms of the language and stuff. Mm-hmm. It falls more into the category of like, wow, there's a lot of really clever people saying really clever things, but somehow it's still works. And I didn't even go to a school where I felt like there were quote unquote mean girls. Cause there just didn't, if they were there, I didn't interact with them really. And so it's not even, that's more of like the Heathers theme where you're sort of enjoying the idea of the extreme version of people you don't actually have to deal with in real life. I'm not sure if I had full on mean girls like that in high school, I'm not sure I could watch that movie. I feel like I would be like, I want to laugh at this, but it's too painful.
Yeah.
You know,
I feel like the one character in that movie, oddly to me, who I feel like I know a version of, is Amy Poehler as the cool, like, I'm a cool mom.
Oh,
You're gonna drink, do it here.
Yeah.
I'm young and cool also.
Yes.
In some movies, I would play the teenager.
Yeah, I like Mean Girls a lot. It does though. There is something about that, like your school didn't have Mean Girls, like, and then Clueless, like with the cliques and all that, and like, the sort of, they kind of have that same scene. The pointing out all the different groups of people in the school, where I go to something like Lady Bird, where it's less about that and more about like specifically your crew. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the people in your life. Because I went to a school of 2,000 people. There were 500 in each class, and there's a handful of the super popular Mean Girls. Most of us were just doing our thing. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just trying to get through with your buddies.
Yeah.
So there is something that's very stylized, like you said. Like, aside from the language, there's something stylized about let's look at a version of high school where everybody fits neatly into these boxes.
Right. Right.
But Mean Girls does a brilliant job of that.
Yeah. I guess it's Tina Fey, right? Who tells Lindsay Lohan's character that they have tickets to Ladysmith Black Mambazo.
Yes.
That captured, like, my dad and I went and saw Ladysmith Black Mambazo. Like, we loved them. We were like the white father and daughter who like took it the next step from Graceland, from Paul Simon's album. We're like, no, we love Ladysmith Black Mambazo. Okay. Yeah. Like, fully saw it. So that, I remember seeing it in the theater and like bursting out laughing. It was such a surprising thing to hear that I was like, like, it's just glee, know? So I'll always thank her for that. I'll always thank her for that.
I love that.
Yeah. It's a great it's an A+ reference.
It's
an A+
extremely specific. Yeah.
You were the ones there. They're not just from the Lifesavers commercial. You know that, right? Remember their Lifesavers commercial?
Yes.
No.
Cool la la cool. Window green.
Oh my God.
Good.
That's right.
That was them.
I remember they were on one of who was the ambiguously gay duo? They were in one of their bits, and they used Ladysmith Black Mambazo as an expletive, and I thought that was very funny. Ladysmith Black Mambazo! That was a great expletive. I want to ask y'all a question about, we've talked about movies that are specifically about high school.
Yeah.
And you mentioned before movies that veered from that, and it wasn't just about that. But I think there are a few of those that focus on like maybe one specific aspect of high school and not the whole thing in general. I look at something like Election or Bring It On, where
those are both so good.
Yeah.
Both of them are brilliant movies.
Election. Oh, it's so good.
Election is perfect satire.
It is
perfect satire.
It is a perfect movie. It is, you have to be in the mood to watch it because if you don't feel like cringing, it's too good not to make you cringe every time. You will cringe every time, but it's so good.
And Matthew Broderick just put upon.
He's so good. The casting in that is amazing. Yeah. And it's so, that's another, super stylized, like very much about this very specific plot, but it's damn good.
I would put Hoosiers in that list as well.
Yeah, that are specifically about one aspect.
Yeah.
And McFarland USA, which is so good.
McFarland USA? I don't know.
I feel like we don't talk about it enough. It is about either central or northern central California. It's one of those communities that's made up of migrant farmers who go and farm everywhere. So they don't have any money. They don't have anything. Kevin Costner plays a coach who has been disgraced because he went to punch a locker and hit a kid by mistake.
Oh no.
And he becomes...
How do you make that mistake?
Yeah.
The kid's face.
To be fair, that kid looked exactly like a locker.
Standing at the end of the lockers.
with
what if I had just been one locker over?
Yeah. It was Halloween.
But he becomes a running coach and he turns these kids into like one of the elite high school distance running programs in the country. And they're all real people. You get to see them at the end running with
It's a
this
doc?
little guy. No, it's one of those.
But it's like they show you.
Miracle and The Rookie.
Gotcha.
McFarland USA, starring Kevin Costner.
I don't even think I've heard of it. So we don't talk about it enough.
Yeah,
Because I've never talked about it.
it's so good.
Or seen it.
I feel
It's
like-
true.
yeah.
The coaches, the inspiring coaches and inspiring teachers, that's almost its own. That is kind of its own. We got this category.
Friday Night
you
Lights,
could
too.
easily do, you could easily do a inspiring adult in a high school setting kind of movie. Mr. Holland's Opus.
Varsity Blues.
If we're doing it in this moment, though, since in our broad category, do we need to pick one of those?
We're
and
micro-categoring. Are
move
you
it on. Do we need a micro category? I'm micro categoring you.
I'm doing it to lose weight. I'm micro-categorizing.
I feel you.
So good for you.
I'm microdosing categories right now just to see how it feels in my head,
It's
man.
my
just to see how
mood
it
is
feels.
boosted. My mood is boosted.
Yeah.
That's all.
It puts me into ketosis when I do that.
Mushroom coffee puts you into ketosis.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I'm down.
So I think, so who are our contenders in that category? It's got to be, of course, I'm putting Robin Williams at the top of my list of those. Cause
I was going to ask you if that
qualifies.
qualifies, and I guess it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, of course.
Oh, Captain, my
qualifies, but
captain.
He's not. Yeah. And for a second, I was like, but is he? But no, 100%. Well, that's probably going to win for me because without even knowing who else is in the category, it just makes me bawl my eyes. How can you not bawl your eyes out?
Yeah.
That's very specific. I mean, we've just picked a wonderful, wonderful movie featuring only white men. Zero
of
women
course.
and no
Tons of white
people of
dudes.
color.
Yeah.
So many white dudes.
It's a very specific world.
So
It's a very
comfortable
specific
with
world.
all these white dudes.
But it's awfully. Oh, Akilah and the Bee is also wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Bee Season is wonderful. See, now we're getting into all the
The Bee
spelling
movie.
bee, the spelling bee movies. Don't get me started on the spelling bee movies. Stand and Deliver.
I don't think Bee movie is a
Beautiful.
spelling bee movie.
Oh.
That's Jerry Seinfeld as an actual bee.
Oh, sorry. I just heard bee and I got so excited.
Yeah.
I was like, are we finally going to dedicate an episode to the bee?
Yeah.
Lean
Stand
on
and
Me.
Deliver that's Edward James Olmos.
That is.
isn't it?
That's a great
I love
movie.
him.
Like the tough teacher in a classroom is like there's
Nice to Sir with Love, right? I mean, that's
Mhm.
kind of one of the OGs of that.
I think
Lean on Me is one of my all-time
It's kind of a
favorites.
reverse of that. The Substitute with Tom Berenger, where he roots out drug dealers at a high school. And he's like, "I'm
Summer
your
School
principal."
starring Mark Harmon.
Yeah, I love Summer School.
Oh my gosh.
Come on.
I was so starstruck when I saw Chainsaw at a bar
Oh,
recently.
Yeah, some of those guys have shown up in my life in at unexpected moments. And,
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like Richard, who's also the voice of Invader Zim,
yes.
is in that. And I didn't know him as a voiceover actor. I knew him from that movie and just people like that who sort of pop in. You're like, it's not like I've engaged with Courtney Thorne Smith, but it's a real hodgepodge of people in that movie.
Oh my gosh.
Can I tell you, I took a workshop from Richard Horvitz last year.
You did?
Yeah, and he was like, "Are there any questions?" Because he always got all that energy. He's
You
like,
just did him perfectly.
Yeah, he is.
In
Does anybody have any questions? And he's doing his like just one of the best workshops I've ever taken in my life.
Oh, that's great to hear.
My question was, what was it like working with Carl Reiner in Summer School? That was the question I had. That was what I wanted to know. I was
Yeah.
focused in.
I would be
had
so
nothing to
happy
do-
if you asked that question. I was there. Yeah.
And it was,
so
good.
Yeah.
Richard Horvitz.
So yeah, they're the anti-inspiring teachers. Although I guess Mark Harmon kind of inspires. But yeah, The Substitute. I forgot all about The Substitute.
Oh my God.
And there were multiple substitutes.
Oh yeah, there were. Boy, that's like I sort of skipped out on like the Carries and the faculties, like the teen horror high school setting movies.
Red Dawn.
Jennifer's Body. Wait, what? Wait, is Red Dawn in a?
It is. Well, they're high schoolers. They're high school.
Yeah, they're high
that's
schoolers.
Right.
and their high
Okay.
school
I forgot
gets
what it
invaded.
was. I forgot what it was. I really thought that it was like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Russia or something. I totally forgot
Red
what
Dawn.
it was. But that's Red Dawn.
Oh, what did I
Okay.
say? I said Red Dawn. What am I
you said
thinking
Red
of?
Dawn. You're thinking of
Toy Soldiers.
No, you are thinking of Red
Also
Dawn.
good.
Toy Soldiers is another great one
Yeah.
though. At the boarding.
Yeah.
Is that the one where they hide liquor and scope? Is it that one?
I'm
Is that the one where they do
sure
that?
it must be. I'm sure it must
I'm
be.
confusing that one with Small Soldiers, which is about the toys that go to war.
The soldiers. Was it Red? Yeah, no. Red Dawn is the one. Is the one where the
okay.
communists invade like small town Iowa, and
I guess I've never
Patrick
seen
Swayze
it.
and everybody has to fight them off. Then
Because
Before Dawn.
that's the idea you have when you are in high school and you're like, we should write a movie.
And adults are telling
Yeah,
you
what's the
about the
movie?
Cold War, and you're like,
Yeah.
it's gonna affect us right here at our high school, and this is how we're gonna fight back, Home Alone style.
Yeah.
Which, again, a whole other category. I buy into a Home Alone plot so fast. Like when I found out that any part of Skyfall took place at Skyfall, I was like, they're gonna Home Alone this puppy. Like I get so excited about, you're on my turf now, and I'm gonna use this mixer to like this ladle is gonna go places you don't want it to.
I'm the man of the house.
Did you ever see Shoot 'em Up?
Yes.
Shoot 'em
Yes.
Up. I mean, come on. That movie ends with a gunfight after he lures them into a booby-trapped gun factory.
That movie,
Come
speaking of
on.
like satire, I don't even know what it's like. It is like a parody wrapped in a satire, wrapped in a terrible movie, wrapped in a great movie. I don't know.
It's
It is such a
bonkers.
ridiculous movie, and I do love it. I do
also
really love it.
Feels like the pitch was like, you like Clive Owen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the
is it also,
entire
like,
plot
Monica
happens-
Bellucci? Like,
Monica Bellucci is
Yeah.
the wet nurse.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And,
Paul Giamatti.
and then, oh,
Oh, that's right.
it is a perfect
Crazy
movie.
Facial Hair,
perfect.
right?
It's perfect.
Wasn't it another
Because they
Crazy
get the
Facial Hair
plot
movie
out
of him?
of crazy facial hair.
Wasn't it
Oh,
crazy
did
facial hair for Paul Giamatti? Didn't he have weird facial hair in that?
He might have just been goatee in that one, I think.
Maybe so.
I don't know if that's crazy.
Same-
That's just
same
evil,
outfit.
right?
Same look he had in Big Fat Liar. It's the same goatee.
Also shot on the Universal backlot.
Wait, which one's Big Fat Liar and which one's Liar Liar? Well, I know what Liar
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 Liar's
is.
Jim
What's
Carrey.
Big Fat Liar is
Liar is-
Frankie Muniz
Yes.
getting
Okay.
chased around by Paul Giamatti.
Yeah. Because he's like a little con man. And Amanda
Yeah.
Bynes is in it as his buddy. And it's directed by Sean Levy. It's an early Sean Levy movie.
I'm glad Paul
Oh my
Giamatti kind of got to move. He's great at it, and that he kind of still does it on Billions. But I do feel like there was a time in which he was like the live action Elmer Fudd, like he was being foiled by people
Yeah.
nonstop.
because he broke in Private Parts as Pig Vomit.
There you go. It's
He's like,
almost
And
like
he's
we're
so
typecast.
good at that.
Yeah, he
He's
is.
so good at the game
Not
of
this
just
time. I am not
Yeah.
gonna. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
like you expect to see him get Joe Pesci'd in Home
Yeah.
Alone in every movie he's in.
100%. I want to give a shout out to Napoleon Dynamite because I do
Mhm.
have a soft spot for it. I
Mhm.
saw it like at the HBO Comedy Festival in Aspen when it had not even become I don't think a Mad TV,
Really?
an MTV movie yet. I think that was where the whole, it was right around whenever they were trying to figure out who was going to make it or to
Right.
distribute it. And also I knew that it had been made by people from BYU. So, and I have the love-hate relationship. It's not even love-hate relationship, but I have this feeling about the LDS church where on one hand, I'm like, listen, let me tell you all the reasons why I don't agree with it. And then on the other hand, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're Mormons and it's such a great movie and I'm so proud and I love them. And so it was, and one of my dear friends, went on to work with all those guys with Jared and Jerusha Hess. And then, I got to know John Heater and a nicer group of people you could not hope for. And so that's a real example of like young kids from college making a movie about high school that is unlike anything you've ever seen. And everyone gets it. Somehow everyone
Yeah.
is like, yes, this is the best thing ever right now, you know?
Well, that makes sense because they're like young weirdos making a movie about being very specific young
Yeah.
weirdos.
Yeah.
And they're not that far out from
That's right.
having been those young weirdos.
Yeah, precisely. So
It's-
major shout out.
There's something like as bizarre of a movie as it is, and as crazy a series of characters as exist in that movie. They all feel oddly grounded, especially
Agreed.
like for some reason the most grounded part of that movie to me is John Grease, right? As
Mhm.
the older brother said, "But I can throw that football over that mountain." Like that just feels like you all knew a kid like that. These people remain
Yes.
children.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, you're
Oh,
right. And
he's
that's
so
an
good.
example of something played deadly
uncle.
serious.
Uncle
Everybody
Rico.
in it is very sure that their life is serious and as real as can be. And
Mhm.
so it plays. It plays because as bizarre as it is, they keep you anchored. All the
Mhm.
acting keeps you anchored to that bonkers stuff that, just the way everyone acts. But it's like, well, it's normal for them.
And their stakes are so high for just them. You know what I mean? There are movies where the stakes are
how you feel when you're in
globally
high school.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's, I love that.
Screw you, Red Dawn.
Yeah.
Take that. And whatever I can't remember.
Take that, Lean on Me.
Voting for Pedro is just as important.
Red was part of that Schwarzenegger movie. It's him and Jim Belushi, isn't it? He's like a cop from Russia. Like Schwarzenegger's a Russian cop. That's the movie we're thinking about. And he comes to America.
Right?
I think Jim Belushi is the American cop in that.
Are you talking about Coming to America?
Yeah, that's right.
Kindergarten cop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that's German Austrian. Kindergarten is a German word.
Kindergarten.
Kindergarten, yeah. The other side of the Napoleon Dynamite coin is what I think it's tough. Everybody has their favorite Wes Anderson movie, but I think Rushmore might be my favorite because it existed
Rushmore.
before. Like now his movies seem to be collapsing upon themselves, which is not to say I don't enjoy them still, but
right.
This movie is
they might be collapsing under the weight of the cameos.
The number, like just the cast list is like the opening crawl from Star Wars.
And I'll tell you what, he's probably accommodating everyone who calls him because I would if I could.
Oh yeah.
And be like, I'd love to be in your movie. Can you write something for me? He's like, there's going to be 1,000 famous people in this because everyone wants to be in it. But what am I going to do?
And they each get one line.
Yeah. And they each get one line. No, Rushmore is so lovely. It's so good. I mean, it really broke my heart in the best way.
Well, Wes Anderson makes fairy tales. All of his movies are fairy tales. And this one, more than maybe all of the others, feels like a fairy tale in terms of like who Max is and what his life is like. And there is something real about it, but it's all super Wes Anderson-y. And I mean that in the most complimentary way possible. And it may have the best soundtrack of any of these films.
Great soundtrack. He always kills it with the soundtracks.
Yeah.
That one and Royal Tenenbaums and Life Aquatic. His soundtracks are amazing. No, it's true. It's like you open up like a music box or like a diorama and there's a movie inside.
Yes.
But
it's a Wes Anderson movie.
Does it feel like a high school movie or does it feel like a Wes Anderson movie set in a high school?
It does feel like a it might feel more like a Wes Anderson movie set in a high school.
But you're absolutely right. It's a wonder. And like his high school play being that war. What is it? It's like
Vietnam.
Platoon. Yeah. It's like you're doing this like
Semper Fi.
serious, crazy Vietnam movie.
Yeah.
You mentioned soundtracks. So many of these movies have incredible soundtracks.
Yes.
I think that a high school movie with a bad soundtrack is never going to win this because that is such a part of it. And it makes it such a movie of its moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
oh my gosh,
the Breakfast Club soundtrack. Sorry, what's that?
I just remembered 3 O'Clock High, which is another really weird Better Off Dead type of like weirdness. And also My Bodyguard.
Casey
Shout out to My Bodyguard.
In 3 O'Clock High?
I think so, right?
Yeah, where he's whole movie is he's
like
the school bully he has to fight the school bully at 3 o'clock.
Yes.
The entire movie is counting down.
Oh, I love a movie with a clock.
Super surreal, very strange, very funny, very much, it's like very stylized. My Bodyguard I'm giving a shout out to because it was one of my dad's favorite movies. It takes place in, I believe it's Manhattan, because this kid, Chris Makepeace, lives with it's Chris Makepeace, right? Yeah. Lives with his, dad, who is also someone great. I can't remember who it is, and then Ruth Gordon is like his grandma and they live in a hotel, but he is this just small, fragile nerd who keeps getting picked on and beat up by Matt Dillon, who is a prick. And then
in everything,
unfortunately in everything.
Yeah.
Wild Things. Also a quote unquote high school movie. But he ends up hiring, oh God, why am I blanking?
Baldwin.
Yes, thank you. I was like, Adam, the most common name in Hollywood, Baldwin. Yes, but not a Baldwin. He hires Adam Baldwin to be his bodyguard, but of course the story is really about where Adam Baldwin comes from and what he's gone through and his backstory and how he's kind of broken, and they sort of become best friends. I'm getting choked up just thinking about it. It's a great movie. There may be some stuff in there that is like problematic now. I don't know if there is.
Adam Baldwin.
But not the character of Adam.
No,
I know that was that was tough for me.
Yeah.
Finding out about that Twitter feed was very tough for me. But yeah, it's a really lovely movie. I feel like maybe Joan Cusack is in it too. Maybe it takes place in Chicago. I'm saying all these people and I'm starting to feel like they might be Chicagoans.
I don't remember where it takes place, but I do distinctly remember the line of dialogue. I think it's, "You broke my nose. I can't believe you broke my nose."
Yes. Matt Dillon gets his nose broken and is like, "You broke my nose. I can't believe you broke my nose." It's very memorable for some reason. Totally.
This is why I love having Janet Barney here to do this show, is we each so far have received a movie that we have never seen that we need to watch. I have never seen My Bodyguard, and Hal has never seen Bugsy Malone.
And I have never seen The Middle of California.
You've seen all of
Kevin
these.
Costner.
McFarlane.
Oh, yeah.
McFarlane
USA.
McFarlane USA. Okay, I gotta remember that. McFarlane USA.
I want to throw out another one that is on this list that we haven't really talked about. Speaking of really great actors just doing, and I think this was her breakout role, if I remember correctly, is Emma Stone in Easy A.
Yes.
Easy A is...
That's a great movie.
It's so good. It's so funny. She's pitch perfect. That's the movie
She's
that
like
made her
most
star.
likable person on the planet in that movie and possibly in life. But that is
because she has the world's most likable parents in that movie too. You remember this? It was Patricia Clarkson and Stanley Tucci as her cool parents.
Oh, yeah. I want them as family members of any kind. That would be amazing. Yeah, that is a very likable group. And her and Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah.
Haley Steinfeld is one of the most instantly likable teenagers, starting with True Grit. Just one of the most likable actors, where you just go, sure, I'll watch you in anything. I'm gonna love you. Play an evil character, still gonna love you. Sorry, like just very, very, very likable and great.
Can't make me not like you.
Great call. Yeah. Just try.
Are there any others that we want to talk about?
So many great ones.
That I know there's so many. Before we start to try to narrow it down,
we haven't talked about Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which I think is notable because it number one, it's based on Cameron Crowe's work as a journalist going undercover in a high school as a student.
That's so bananas.
To see what it's like. And this is a Rolling Stone article, I think, that he wrote called Fast Times at Ridgemont High that he then adapted into a film. So it's also, I think, his first screenplay.
Wow.
Also, it's like his introduction. It's a
very iconic, and I'm sure many people would say that it sort of was one of those high school movies that continued to cause people to want to make their version. Like, filmmakers coming up saw that movie and were like, I gotta make my high school movie. And I'm sure some of them on this list were in part inspired by, Fast Times and what a huge hit it was. Was it a hit at the time? I don't even know.
Yeah.
I just know by the time I was a teenager, everyone I knew had seen it and loved it. So
yes, it was a popular film. I don't think it was like the biggest hit of all time, but it also introduced us to a lot of like
everybody.
California Valley Girl-ish type tropes.
Did anyone think that Sean Penn was going to become the actor that he did?
Right.
Yeah.
If you said,
he embodies it so perfectly, you have no idea he's such a great actor. You just think he's that guy.
He's so good. They're all, Judge Reinhold, Phoebe Cates, Jennifer Jason Leigh, like
Nicolas Cage.
That cast is incredible. Nicholas Coppola.
Yes.
Yeah.
That cast is so good. And I wasn't the first one that introduced the, no, this is what high school students really talk like. Like, are Superbad and Booksmart standing on Fast Times at Ridgemont High's shoulders?
It might be.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of, I feel like there are probably some 70s movies like,
Cooley High.
Those
Cooley High is,
where, yeah. But there's those movies where you feel like they're intentionally being pretty much anything that features Jodie Foster in high school, except for Freaky Friday. There's a good chance that you're going to be like, oh dear God, is that what young women are doing and saying? I'm worried for them. I feel like that was an era in 70s filmmaking.
So can we agree now that the answer is The Blind Side and just move on with our lives and just catch up?
Yes.
Let's do that. In high school.
It's true. It's a very lovable story. It's a very lovable story.
Look, if you're deep into The Blind Side when you're watching Below Deck and you get excited that Leanne Toohey is one of the guests.
Oh, God.
Like, is she going to demand a lot? Are they going to get drunk and throw up over the side of the boat?
No.
Try to jump in? Get Captain Lee mad?
Ken has also reminded us of Bill and Ted's. And see, that's another one where I sort of put that away feeling safe. Like, I know, but it's kind of about something totally different. Like,
yeah,
trying to give myself a way to not have to worry about including with everything else because it's so good.
Because there are plenty of great high school movies. But I think that is like movies like Bill and Ted, Teen Wolf, even Spider-Man Homecoming.
Teen Wolf. Oh,
like,
no.
Actually,
that's a whole other category. Superpower teenagers? No.
Sky High?
Thing. Sky High is
Superpower
great,
teenagers.
Robert Rodriguez. Yeah, I can't do it. There's too many, Carrie, there's just too many wonderful light movies about superpowers.
Superpowered teenagers. Teen Wolf might be a perfect one, though.
Teen Wolf is pretty great. But if you want a great movie about what it's like to be in high school, I actually think that Spider-Man Homecoming is a high school movie where the kid is also Spider-Man. So he's trying to figure it out. But the most important part of that is him asking a girl out to the dance, is him finding a date, you go to pick up your date and the vulture is her dad.
That's right.
That is the ultimate, like, her dad doesn't like me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate.
So it really is.
Oh, that scene in the car.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that scene in the car.
He said, I'm going to have the talk.
I don't know. I can't accept this, that being a contender in this category. There's just too much great stuff. Well, I just think it belongs to its own, it should be the winner of that category.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not making the rules.
So does it, well, no, we are. We're all going to make them together. We're
going to make the rules. So let's make the rules right now. We've talked about a million high school movies that we love. Let's have the talk. Here, sit down next to me right here on the couch. We're going to have this talk. Look, you knew it was a long time coming.
This is so embarrassing.
I don't want to do
It's fine. It's fine.
I know where they come from. I know how they're made. Just I don't want to.
What movies? High school movies?
Good idea.
Yeah, I know.
Do you know how high school movies are made?
A girl very much, or a boy likes a boy, or a gender nonconforming person. Listen, but I know that's how movies get made. Yeah. Okay, please don't, Dad.
Look. This is for your own good.
Just tell us.
Your brother wants to know. Your brother has questions.
Just tell us separately. Tell us also, can you hear my braces? Tell us separately.
No, I'm telling you both at the same time. I know he's only 6.
Gross.
But everybody needs to know how movies are made.
And I also have braces. I have terrible teeth. They said I have to wear braces for 10 years.
I know.
Look, we could only afford one set of Invisalign, so you've got straight up old school wire braces, and I apologize for that.
Mine is Visalign. You can see it from space.
But do you change your rubber bands out when it's like a school football game or?
Yes.
That's what the people in my school always did.
That's how big this is.
So we've talked about a lot of different styles of high school movie. We've got, and I'll try to throw out a few and please add them. Do we think that our best high school movie is going to be one that centers around a group of friends having all the changes that they have? Is it going to center around a brilliant teacher changing the lives of people? Is it going to center around one specific aspect of high school and reaching the pinnacle of that, a la Bring It On or Election, which we did not talk much about Bring It On. I just want to shout that out and get a sneak in that one of my favorite movie scenes of all time is the two of them silently brushing their teeth in that movie. I think that is one of the best love scenes ever filmed.
Great.
Jesse Bradford and
just them, the two of them kind of giving each other side eye while brushing their teeth.
Yeah. It's great. It's great. I mean, and then there were there's a whole other category that's like, that Superbad kind of could fall into, which is like this sort of house party, shout out to house party, like the high school party, the risky business, the sort of like, what can we get
Can't hardly wait.
Exactly. That's its own category too. So shout out to those.
But what do we think makes a high school movie a high school movie?
I think you're doing a very good job of, and I can't tell if you're delicately guiding us, because what you're saying is really resonating for me in I feel like I'm being guided, but I agree with it way, which is the high school movie about the teacher or is it about the kid? So I already felt immediately.
I had not thought of that.
I'm like, I don't know. I don't think it's about the teacher. Like, it's about the kids for this. Yeah. Maybe that's its own category. But best high school movie might not necessarily be focused on that one individual who's inspiring everybody. Maybe it is more about the kids, the actual kids.
Well, we'll have to have you back to do best fictional teacher.
I would love that.
I think we should pick a movie that has something to say about the high school experience as opposed to, like, as much as I love Dead Poets Society, I feel like that's about
we don't relate to that.
Learning to be an individual and learning to express your voice and not just accept what is given to you. Like School Ties is a movie that's set in a high school, but that is about tolerance and what it meant.
Right.
Like it's not a high school movie. It's using high school to tell a larger story. And kind of the same with Clueless. Clueless is not about high school. It's using a high school setting to make Emma more like, and that's from a line of She's All That and 10 Things I Hate About You. Let's take these stories that let's take these stories that are classic stories and move them to a high school setting to show how those themes still apply.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Oh God. I'm buying all of this. I am picking it up. You're laying it down. I'm picking it up. It's making it easier. I'm going to let go of some of my favorite super absurd weirdos. Like, do I love Better Off Dead because it's about high school? No, I love it because it's not about being in high school. I mean, I think for Savage Steve Holland it is, but it's very, very wacky. It's so absurd and silly. And that is what I love about it, not the high school part. So I want my $2.
Some
like that it's I want my $2. Yeah. I'm happy to put those movies away and say, okay, they're in their own category. So I don't have to worry about those with this.
Curtis Armstrong trying to snort the snow off of, do you know
I've been going to this high school for 7 years. I'm no dummy. It might not be 7. Curtis Armstrong. Mwah. Perfecto. Okay, so I feel like we're getting somewhere. The question is, what are we? What have we know we've eliminated Rushmore because it falls into the category of it's not really what it is.
Well, we also know what we want. We know what we're looking for now, which is the high school experience from the point of view of a student or multiple students. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of great movies on this list that do that. There's some stylized ones like Heathers. There are some more straightforward ones like Lady Bird and Booksmart and Superbad. I don't know. Help me out here, y'all. What do we?
No, you're right.
What else fits that? Description?
I think you brought up American Pie as being one that falls into that category. So I would put that in there. You could argue Napoleon Dynamite could live in that space because again, there's something about the smallness of it, even within how big it is, that, there are characters that are weirdly relatable and weirdly remind me of being in school and the feeling of being in high school. I mean, Easy A, did you say that one already?
No, but that fits.
That's a real good one.
I think Mean Girls fits too because it's about the way that teenagers relate to each other and how low everybody's self-esteem is.
Yeah.
That they just like pile on one another in a desperate attempt to keep the target off of themselves.
Yeah. Oh boy. I'm nervous that I'm going to go to the very first movie that was brought up that I can think of that was brought up, which might be Lady Bird. I feel like you brought it up so early, Gags.
Yeah.
And I really was like, I'm willing to go with something funnier and crazier and like super lively and, just wacky. But I think you might have, and especially when I think of the conversations about high school that I have on the podcast, right? Which, what do I like?
You are an expert
if we have to talk about what feels the most like those conversations, I would say Lady Bird.
Can I see if I can throw a wrench in the gears?
Wrench me.
I actually think Dazed and Confused meets a ton of criteria. That it's not only is it about what it means to leave high school, but it's about what it means to enter high school, how to navigate that. What is it like when you're a twerp that's going to be picked on because you're a freshman, but your sister is a senior who's telling those bullies to take it easy on you. You have the stoner. I mean, obviously not all of us went to high school outside of Austin
in the 70s.
But there's still, like, even Matthew McConaughey's character, the guy who won't leave anymore, and it's kind of creepy, and like, why are you hanging out with these kids outside of your obvious desire to get with all of the ladies? There's a lot of truth in it too, and the cast I'll put the cast up against any of the other, any of these casts. They're all great. I mean, they're all very good performances, but I think that what I like about that movie is that it shows a cross section of everybody at a high school, not just one character's story. And that's not easy to pull off. And so it becomes like a Robert Altman high school movie almost.
That's a really good argument. I mean, it's a really good argument. I think I didn't connect. This isn't fair to that movie, but I didn't connect with it. That's Linklater, right?
Yes.
I think I didn't connect with it on as deep of an emotional level, even though everything you're saying is true and I have huge appreciation for it. It's a great movie. I love that movie, but I don't know if I felt seen in quite the same way, maybe, but that's just me. Like it's so subjective, which we said when we first started this.
Well, when we first started this, that this particular episode, because it is a crossover with someone who's so good at subjectivity, we might want to throw aside some of the objectivity that we're used to dealing with on this show and deal specifically with what hits us emotionally.
Yeah.
Side note, you want to talk about a movie that's not about high school, but that is some high school age people. Almost Famous is one that just like shatters me.
Wow. It's so good.
Couple of teenagers in a world that they have absolutely no place being. Like, so good.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Kate Hudson is the Band-Aid, and those are just the way that the kid's looking at her the whole time.
I'm sure some people disagree with me, but I know a lot of people agree that that's her best role, period. Like, I've never seen her be that perfect and that vulnerable in anything ever since. I mean, a lot of it was the choices that she made, which I totally respect, but like that role is, it's killer. So good.
Well, one day you'll see Bride Wars and then you'll understand. A distant second.
One day you'll see one of the seemingly many movies with Matthew McConaughey.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days?
They're either looking for something or they're on a boat or they hate each other. Maybe that's all of them. I'm not sure.
That's all of them. And that's all one movie.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to throw this out there because we do have to get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's each throw out we're all throwing a proxy fighter into the ring. We each get one.
Are you not going to pick Lady Bird?
I was going to wait and see if you picked Lady Bird. I was offering to the guests the opportunity because I would pick Lady Bird.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't know what I would pick over it.
Unless we have two Lady Birds, then we're answered. I think that Dazed and Confused is a great choice as well.
I do too.
Yeah.
I just don't know. Yeah. Do I have a third one that I think is like hard competing with those two? Do I? I mean, I loved Easy A, but I've only seen it once. You know what I mean? I don't have that sort of like, that really stayed with me.
I mean, come on.
Same way.
Now we're going to do an exercise in drama class. Whoever cries first wins. And they're just sitting in a circle trying to cry at each other.
That does feel very familiar.
Oh, Lord.
It's
just very, very, very familiar.
I mean, I think objectively we could put Fast Times at Ridgemont High up there and American Pie because both of them are quintessential
as far as what we understand.
Movies.
Yeah. As far as what we understand the world to mention and bring up and cherish.
Right.
I don't have that relationship to American Pie. I think I was just older and, I think I've only seen it once, but I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it.
Sure. But Lady Bird hits different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll throw, I would throw Dazed and Confused in there for all the reasons that I said.
I mean, it's a great movie. I definitely am going to watch it again, like in the next couple of days, because I haven't seen it in a minute. And
it also has an incredible soundtrack.
And it has an incredible
soundtrack.
Dreams to Remember, them just laying there looking up while Dreams to Remember plays.
Yeah.
Slow Ride.
It's great.
Low Rider.
It's great. It captures that nostalgia. I'm feeling nostalgia while it's happening. I think it is probably the best at that.
Yeah.
Ken's throwing in American Graffiti. I've only seen it. I've seen it a couple of times, and I don't think I've seen it since I was young.
And it feels less. I mean, it feels like more of a love letter to the car culture of the small of like Modesto, where George Lucas grew up.
But if you want a George Lucas movie where the actors are people who really interact with each other and like have feelings and feel real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's this one.
That's a great one. That's a great one.
This one and only this one.
Including Wolfman Jack.
That's right. Wolfman Jack. That's right. That's right.
Who lies about being the voice on the radio. He's like really like, nah, I don't know who that is.
But my dad, and I'm not saying that Ken is my dad, but my dad, that is his era of high school. So for sure for him, he would argue that all day long. He would be like, yes, that is that captures what my experience was like in high school. I think he would say it. I think he has said to me that it kind of nailed it. So I take my hat off to that too. I mean, I think I can, I mean, I do love My Bodyguard, but I can't, no, it's not, this is not that conversation. I don't think I can throw anything else in there.
Yeah.
I mean, Mean Girls is great.
It is great.
But I just don't know if it.
But it doesn't have Laurie Metcalf.
There's a bittersweetness to both of these movies that we're talking about that really works for me. Are we there? Yeah. I mean, are we about to, do we have 2 Ladybirds?
I don't know. What are your thoughts on Lady Bird, Hal?
Or Grease. We'll throw Grease back in there.
Grease. Well, much like Dazed and Confused, it is an accurate bit of nostalgia, I think.
Yeah, Lady Bird.
Like, that's really exactly what the 50s were like.
Yeah.
Lady Bird does sort of transport you into that world of, like, if I went to high school in Sacramento at this time, this is what it'd be like. Because that movie takes place in, like, the early to mid 2000s, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's early 2000s.
Yeah, like 2000 something.
So, it's so good. It's so good. And I feel like it was a critical darling that made some money, but maybe not enough people have watched it as should have.
Yeah.
And that, for that reason, I would kind of put it at the top just because, I mean, I think more people have seen Dazed and Confused. So it's become,
yeah, I think that's true.
It's become now, was it 30 years old, that movie is?
Yeah. Wow.
Almost.
Okay.
Like that.
Lady Bird is 2002. Thank you, Ken.
Yeah. Lady Bird is a lot more recent than that.
Yeah.
And for that reason, that's the one I would pick because I think it checks all the boxes and more people should see it. And that's like, isn't that what we're doing here in the special?
Yeah.
Special bonus.
Many of these other movies, they're fine. They're fine. They've already been iconic for quite some time. So maybe we're just like helping to continue that wave for a movie like Lady Bird. And I also feel like, again, it checks that JV Club box in kind of a perfect way. I think
we're there.
We got it.
There. And you said it really early on. So
it's the very first one.
We just had the 80s teen movie version of spinning around and around in the barber's chair and then ending up with the haircut we started out with.
Tenderness.
Oh.
People of the world, it's Lady Bird. If you haven't seen Lady Bird, go see Lady Bird. If you have seen Lady Bird, go watch Lady Bird again. This is a gift to you.
And then if you feel like you need to have a big, splashy, fun, goofy teen movie experience as well, you know where to go.
Yeah, Lady Bird again.
We've named
Watch
a lot
Lady
of,
Bird again.
Yeah.
Keep watching Lady Bird.
But with Three Stooges sound effects. Here's your wacky version.
There you go.
Yeah.
This is Max Fun Drive. This is all about the gifts that you receive for supporting us. And here's another gift right now, which is the tip, a hot tip.
Yeah.
To go watch Lady Bird.
Yeah.
Because it's the best high school movie asked and answered. How about that?
I love how gentle that asked and answered was.
Right.
Yeah.
As it deserved to be in this precious moment.
Need to be harsh about it.
I think that people are getting lots of gifts during Max Fun Drive, and the gift that we received today is having Janet Varney on the show.
No, I received the gift of seeing
Don't you turn this around. Don't you turn this around.
Right now. This is so embarrassing. Dad, please don't do this. I don't want to fight with you in public.
Hey, look. I'm going to sit here in the car and lay on this horn. I'm going to lay on this horn.
I thought Nathan, I thought you were going to disable the horn. You said that you somehow knew how.
Oh, you think your 6-year-old brother knew how to disable the horn? I have this horn installed. It's my favorite song.
Which is
Candle in the Water.
My dad does have the car horn that plays.
Come on, let's
go. I love the idea that Candle on the Water would be someone's horn.
Babe, come on. It's prom.
My dad's Jeep has from The Godfather.
Really?
Of course it does.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. I don't think I've heard that many customized horns.
Oh, you got to go to the South.
I've got to go to the South. I've got to go to the South.
You've simply got to go to the South.
If you go to Savannah, you'll hear the theme from The Godfather playing everywhere when cars pull up.
Everyone has the title song from Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. Very well-known theme song. Very well-known theme song.
I did take the Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil tour of Savannah, and it was weird and wonderful.
I bet it was. You know who you want to have do that is Gary Anthony Williams, who plays the tour guide bus driver in the film.
That's right.
Don't mind if I do.
Oh,
How about
I
that?
forgot about that.
Hey.
That's within reach. We could make that happen.
Right? We could
We'll go
absolutely make that happen.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
this topic
Well,
is
this
closed.
Wonderful.
That's right.
Thank you.
closed.
And thank you for being here. This topic is
Yeah.
closed. There are many more topics to discuss. So please reach out to us on Twitter at We Got This Tweets, or
You can email us at wegotthispodcast@gmail.com or go to facebook.com/groups/ We Got This Podcast. Talk about your favorite high school movies and also listen to the JV Club. And when you are setting up your recurring contributions and membership to Max Fun, make sure you check the JV Club box to make sure that Janet benefits from your membership. That's how that works.
amen.
And let me
Amen.
know, let me and us know, tweet at both of us. You could do, the JV Club, or at Janet Varney. I want to know what your personal listener, what your high school movie, the high school movie that you feel like shows your heart in a not gross way,
Yes.
back at you when you are watching it. I would love to know what that movie is for you. So let us know. We love your support. We love being a part of this wonderful family of podcasts, and couldn't do it without you. So thanks, everybody.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Hal.
Thank you to producer Ken Plume, who is silently behind the scenes running this special bonus episode, making it happen as he always does. Thank you to everybody behind the scenes who helps make We Got This happen. But Ken is here right now. This is a special bonus episode. We're not going to do our full credit thing because we didn't have Kate got the night off. Thank you, Kate. All the research you do. We didn't put
But Ken did not get the night off.
no
Ken is here with us
no breaks for
in
Ken.
both spirit and chat form.
Yeah.
So thank you. And thank you, Janet, and to the people of the world for giving us a chance to obviously have a blast with one of our dearest friends. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, all.
Thank you. Yeah. For Hal Lublin, I'm Mark Gagliardi.
For Mark Gagliardi, I'm Hal Lublin.
For
And we're
Janet
both
Varney,
here.
I'm Janet Varney.
There it is.
There it is.
And go support Max Fun.
Yes,
Don't
go
worry about
support
it.
Max Fun.
Support Max Fun.
Hey, you guys
Yeah.
remember how the Lord of the Rings had like 8 endings, right?
Yeah.
Does that feel familiar at all?
Something like that.
Anyway, everybody, thanks so much for listening.
And don't forget, when you're out there, to be kind to each other and stay safe. Goodbye.
You know what it was? It was my brain going, I just automatically started doing our show's closing. And then I went, this is a crossover. And then I just started looking to Janet and going, what's Janet's show's closing? We'll do Janet's show's closing.
Zero.
Also,
I have zero. I think usually I flounder at the end and go, I'll talk to you next time on the podcast. And this very like meek, like, oh, my guest is still on the Zoom with me. This is embarrassing for them to have to see me end my podcast. I'm not sure where that shame comes from, but I'll talk to you all next time on the podcast.
We got this.
Great.
perfect.
MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture.
Artist owned. Audience supported.